What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Rantin Review Pro Wrestling. It is June, which means one thing in New Japan. Well, it means a couple things, but one big thing it means in New Japan Pro Wrestling is it is time for the annual Dominion show at Osaka Jo Hall, a legendary show, one of the biggest ones of the year for New Japan. This year, a bit different. Crowd attendance, of course, is not as much as it used to be in the past, but they did have a respectable 6,500 people at the show. And let's get into some of the highlights and the lowlights of the show. Overall, I will tell you this before we get too far into it. I wasn't wildly pleased with this show until the main event. And there's a lot there. Let's start out with the big thing on the night that started off tonight. There was an 8-man tag match where the House of Torture was going to have a surprise participant. And that surprise participant wound up being Bad Luck Fale, now known as Don Fale. He's also now backed up with Chase Owens, who was supposed to be on the War Dogs side in this match, and then he turns ship on the War Dogs. So poor Taiji Ishimori, Clark Connors, Drilla Maloney, and Goto get the rug pulled out from underneath them. Yeah, Sonata got the win over Drilla, but whatever. It's furthering the House of Torture thing. You guys know how I feel about the House of Torture. I wish they would get away from it. They're tripling down on it now. It is, hey, they make money off of it. It's okay. It's okay. It's not my cup of tea. And this is the first time in quite a while, and I think since I started watching New Japan again in 2013, that they've got something that they're going to stick with that I'm kind of like, I don't feel this. And the House of Torture, I don't feel. But some people apparently like it, so this is for them. But again, Don Fale is now part of the House of Torture. Anyway, moving on from that, Zack Sabre Jr. teamed up with Oiwa to take on ELP and Shota Umino. Fun little match. Zack won it with the European clutch over Umino. I'm still, Shota had a good trajectory, and now it seems like they're kind of going back on it a little bit. I don't know. The G1's probably going to be a bigger story with Shota. Zack on his way for another World Championship match, and I think that's basically the thing that we wanted to get across here. On cards like this, whoever's winning are probably getting set up for future title matches, and I expected what would happen later in the night after Zack got the submission here with the European clutch, or he got the victory here with the European clutch over Shota. Hiroshi Tanahashi on his final road won his match against Yuya Uemura. It was a quick match, relatively quick match. It was under 10 minutes. Uemura, I've said it before, technically speaking, he's probably the closest to Tanahashi of the new generation. Tanahashi teaching him a few tricks of the trade from the legend here. Cool match, Tanahashi getting the win there. The Junior Tag Team Championship was on the line. And this is where we got, again, what I mentioned before with more House of Torture nonsense. Doki, being a member of the House of Torture, taking over for Kanemaru, teaming up with Sho. This is Master Wato and Sho's first defense of the title, by the way, and they lost him. And Yo has not had a good month. Not been a good month for Yo. The House of Torture is establishing its dominance in New Japan again. I don't know what's going on here. I guess, again, you can hear my disappointment with this. I was expecting to really enjoy this show because the card was really stacked. But seeing how this became basically a big show for House of Torture, don't really care for it too much. But again, that's just my cup of tea. The Tag Team Championship match, on the other hand, this was an exciting match. I had a lot of fun with this one. Taichi and Tomohiro Ishii taking on the champions, Callum Newman and the Great Okan, also in their first defense and also losing the championships. Callum Newman in this poor damn championship. This kid has been a 2-time tag team champion now, the youngest ever, and has lost the belt so many times. But Callum looked great in this match. O'Connor looked great in this match. Ishii looked great. But Taichi, my old friend Taichi, was the standout in this match. The crowd was really in for Taichi winning this match too. And just to see him and Ishii tag teaming again and seeing them just being a unit, that is just good old New Japan fun for us longtime fans and fans of just Taichi. Taichi's got I ragged on him a lot back in the day, but he has a definite fan base and definitely a lot of people really get into Taichi. The chance used to be Taichi go home, but now it's just we're cheering for Taichi. Ishii, I don't know how many times this makes him a tag team champion. He's had that title many times. I think him and Taichi is going to be a very fun tag team going forward in the future, and hopefully they build something up around them and build some sort of a tag division to challenge them. The NEVER Openweight Championship match is on the line. This is a match I was looking forward to a lot. It was shorter than I thought it would be. Wasn't as good as the match I saw from them back in New Beginning, but Konosuke Takeshita defended the NEVER Openweight Championship against Botlon Oleg. This surprised me. Oleg got the win over Takeshita. And I think we're moving. All the champions have lost their titles on this night. I think we're shifting things around for where they're going into the fall months post the G1. And Oleg being a NEVER Openweight champion sets that up because, as you know, going into the G1 as a champion, you got a bigger target on your back because anybody that beats you in a G1 is going to be challenging for your championship when that tournament is over. They're putting not a lot of weight, but they're putting some weight on Oleg by having him beat Takeshita in this match and carrying his championship. I also do think that Takeshita, either this is to set him up to be a champion later on in New Japan in a bigger capacity, or they're expecting him to spend a lot more time in AEW and not as much time, even though he is signed full-time, or not full-time, he is signed part-time, I guess, with New Japan. But I do think that his time there is not going to be as much as we expect. And like I said, Oleg, he's impressed me a lot. Not so much in this match, but it was fine. Dog collar chain match, death match. Finlay against the King of Darkness, Evil. Evil comes out with his entire new House of Torture, which is now up to 10 MFers right now. Finlay comes out with Goto. He goes back and gets what reinforcements he can, but he is severely outnumbered. The War Dogs, you got Ishimori, Clark Connors, and Drilla. Gabe Kidd has got a match right after this, so he wasn't coming out. Made sense. But this was a big setup for David Finlay. Finlay, the match went on for a long time. It wasn't bloody. Even though I think Chris Charlton said it was going to be bloody, the match never wound up being bloody. There were some cool spots that they did with the chain and everything else, but the writing was kind of on the wall. This was going to be a House of Torture night, and unfortunately for David Finlay, he was going to be the one suffering from the wrath and the revenge of Evil and his new House of Torture. Yeah, you got the Bullet Club. Yeah, you got the War Dogs. Yeah, you got the name, but Fale pretty much put the nail in the coffin figuratively, as of course the referees got knocked out because it's a House of Torture match. They set Finlay up on a table. Fale does this giant dive off the middle rope through Finlay through the table. That was enough for Evil to get the mock submission pin on Finlay, of course posing, and the War Dogs looked distraught. Everybody looked distraught. The House of Torture celebrates over the broken body of David Finlay, who's taken out on the stretcher. I'm not sure where you go from here with the War Dogs. I don't know if there's going to be, I assume because Finlay is in the G1, and we'll get to that in a bit, that there might be some retribution, but this doesn't look good for the War Dogs. And things further kind of complicated for the War Dogs, especially on the English broadcast side, as our semifinal match was for the IWGP Global Heavyweight Championship. Gabe Kidd challenging Yota Tsuji, a rivalry that I think is one of the best rivalries in New Japan. It's got that flavor. I mentioned it has a lot of feels of a lot of old generational rivalries, and I think as long as Gabe Kidd's in New Japan, this will be a generational rivalry between him and Tsuji. Now, much like the match before with Takeshita and Oleg, I thought the matches that these two have had before, especially the one they had earlier this year that went to a draw, was a far better match than this. not to say this was a bad match. It was a good match, but I think one of the things that really hurt it, and unfortunately this happened, Gabe went for a big spot off the top rope, completely missed it. The crowd was murmuring. He had to talk himself out of it. He knew he made a mistake. He talked himself out of it. He continued on. The crowd was very forgiving. They finished the match. It was a solid match, but I think that big botch, that it was a huge miss. It looked bad. But that happens to everybody. Every wrestler, whether you're the Undertaker or Steve Austin or Ric Flair or Ricky Steamboat, they've all had those big moments where they botched something pretty badly. This was Gabe Kidd. He was a little overzealous. But the best thing for him, he won the match. Gabe Kidd is now the IWGP Global Heavyweight Champion. He showed a lot of respect for Tsuji after the match. The two of them, this is not a blood rivalry. This is pure competition. They purely just want to see which one is better than the other one. Gabe treats it that way. Now, where I say there's some controversy going on, Gabe and the English broadcasters, and you know that Chris Charlton, you got to be careful here, Chris. But there was a lot of the talk about the fact that there is a Death Riders logo on one of Gabe Kidd's knee pads. And there's a lot of questions about his allegiance to New Japan, his allegiance to Bullet Club. Again, he didn't come out there, which made sense for the War Dogs match. He didn't back up Finlay. I think that's going to come up at some point in time in the future. Gabe has been off in the AEW. He's been doing his thing without the War Dogs. He goes to AEW. They don't even mention he's in Bullet Club when he's over there. He's friendly with Moxley. There's a lot to unpack there, what they're trying to do with this. Is this is part of a storyline, or if this is just what's been going on. I don't know. I think it's kind of a bad look for Gabe to be spending so much time focusing on his AEW connections when his whole thing was he's like, F AEW, I'm a New Japan guy. I don't know. You got to let this play out a little bit to see where the storyline's going. As for Tsuji, I think this kind of a loss, and I've seen other people say it as well, they're setting him up to probably win the G1 and probably be IWGP champion by the end of the year. I would not be surprised if he winds up being the one to take the title, he's set up to go in for the championship at Wrestle Kingdom next year. I think it's needed. I think if that's where they're going, it is time for Tsuji to go for that championship. They alluded to it in the pre-match video too, that he was probably eyeing up the IWGP World Championship. So, good. The resolution to this match was great. I think it's high time Gabe won a high-profile match. He won a IWGP championship. He wasn't ever a strong champion before. And they start pushing him up to... I like the progress with Tsuji and Gabe. Let's put it that way. But the match, again, they've had better matches than this. Not the best match you're going to see from them, but it is still worth watching. The main event, however... Leave it to the old dudes to turn it out. They saved this card. The IWGP World Heavyweight Championship, Shingo Takagi challenging Hirooki Goto, match of the night. This was really, really good. This washed a lot of the bad House of Torture taste out of my mouth from watching this show. The botch from the Gabe Kidd match, Konosuke Takeshita, and Botlon Oleg those matches is not being as good as I expected them to be. The dog collar match not being as good as I expected it to be. But the world title match was excellent. Shingo, Goto, professionals, absolutely recommend you checking this match out. Goto has so filled into his role as the IWGP World Champion and the gatekeeper, basically, of his generation. Before this new generation takes over, they're going to have to get through him or Shingo or Zack Sabre Jr. Shingo looked awesome in this match. This is New Japan. This is the New Japan I like and enjoy. Goto retains the championship. Has some kinder words for Shingo. He does suggest to Shingo, he goes, because Shingo's whole thing going into this match, if you remember, he was talking about he doesn't have a family, he doesn't have any kids, he doesn't have a wife, he doesn't even have a faction anymore, but he wants the championship. So after Goto wins the match, Shingo's leaving. He says to Shingo, hey, a man like that's going to find a good woman. And Shingo kind of smirks and goes back to the curtain. Shingo, that girl who also does New Japan, I think she's a bit young for you though, dude, but that girl who does New Japan reviews on YouTube too, she's single and she's perpetually single. So I don't know, maybe some of y'all can figure something out. I don't know how old she is. Maybe she's too young, but there you go. But yeah, overall, great match, great way to end the show that was kind of mediocre from my perspective. Afterwards, during the post-match, Goto did call out Zack. Afterwards, Zack and Goto agree to have a rematch. When that's going to take place, I'm not so sure. And the last bit we want to talk about on the show is, of course, we got the announcement of the G1 Climax. No big surprises this year for the G1 blocks. There were many names mentioned. The only technically outside name was Konosuke Takeshita, who is actually not an outside name because, again, he's signed to New Japan. Some people missing from there, but they do have 4 play-in matches. That's going to start Wednesday at Korakuen. So whether or not you're going to get some DDT people, whether you're going to get some Pro Wrestling Noah guys in there, whether there's going to be any full-time AEW guys coming over, I kind of doubt it this year at this point. But again, they haven't announced officially yet as of my recording this. They may have announced it by the time you see this for who is going to be in these play-in matches for the G1 this year. I hope there's some more surprises in there because the lineup, it wasn't an underwhelming lineup, but part of the fun about the G1 every year is that, much like the Best of the Super Juniors did this year, they did a good job of getting outside talent coming in. Part of the fun of the G1 is seeing also outside talent come in. But so far, nobody from CMLL, nobody from AEW, again, except unless you want to count Takeshita, nobody from Pro Wrestling Noah, nobody from DDT or anything like that. So we'll keep abreast of that as the week goes on. We'll probably try to do an update if anything significant comes out of Wednesday's show. My thoughts overall, again, on the show, it was not one. It was kind of those. I don't want to say it was a dud, but I feel about it the same way I felt about that one Dominion that was headlined by Jericho and Okada, and I was all excited about it several years ago. And that Dominion show did not turn out to be very good. Kind of the same thing with this one. I was expecting more, but everything can't be gold. I do still think that they're on the right direction though with everything except the House of Torture. So we'll see what happens, but I want to know what you guys think. Let your voice be heard in the comment box below. Did you enjoy Dominion? Did you enjoy it more than I did? Did you like it less than I did? What was your favorite match on the card? And where do you think this sets everybody up for the G1 Climax, which is right around the corner, my favorite time of the year for New Japan? So again, let me know what you guys thought in the comment box below. Also check out my other channels. I got a gaming channel. We got a demos, some pretty weird games over in Rant and Review Gaming, Rant and Review Entertainment. We're going to be talking about some stuff this week. We got some Stranger Things news coming out and some news about Marvel that we'll be releasing a video this week too on Rant and Review Entertainment. So check out either one of those channels if you're interested in that stuff. And until next time, I will see you guys here for more news, rumors, and commentary on the Rant and Review Pro Wrestling. Have a good day.